Alright, hello. Uh, it's me, Marie. So today, we're gonna go over the 12 English tenses. So I didn't want to use MS Paint today just because I didn't really think there was a purpose. So I just thought I would kind of read through my doc. So um, first, I'm just gonna start off with the present simple. So the present simple is used for repeated actions, habits, things that are happening in the present, but not necessarily in that moment, kind of just in general. So, for example, every day I go to the park, or a fact, it is very cold in Antarctica. Or if you want to describe yourself, or if you're giving instructions, or for example, if you're like watching a cooking show or something like that, they're gonna be like, okay, whisk the eggs. And yeah, that's all present tense. And then just for like if you're writing a paper, a formal paper, and you're retelling the events of a work of literature that's fiction, then you do it in the present tense. So, for example, Cinderella ran home when the clock struck midnight. That is just not right. Of course, if you want to just use it every day, no one's gonna care. But if you're writing formal paper, you should say Cinderella runs home when the clock strikes midnight. And that's just because every time that you open a book and when you finish it, no time in the story has actually passed. So, yeah. uh, Present progressive. Or you could also call it the present continuous. I like to use continuous. Uh, yeah. um, so something happening in that exact moment. I am watching TV right now. I am speaking right now. Or if you want to describe um, an event that is like in the future, then you can say, I'm going to the movies with my friends this Saturday. And I'm going to, the ing is the continuous. It shows that it's going on. So, uh, like going to is basically like kind of like will in a way. I'm gonna talk about that later, but yeah, an event planned in the future, you can say I'm going to. Or if you want to use it for like a temporary or changing situation. So, for example, I'm staying in the hospital for a few days. Um, I mean, you said a few days, so it's not like a permanent thing. So hopefully it's, yeah, it's temporary. And then if you want to emphasize how often something happens, so like my friends are always complaining about homework, or like my mom is always yelling at me. You're obviously, it's not happening like all the time, constantly, but it happens a lot, and you want to show that. So you can use that. And yeah, so we're gonna go to the present perfect. So this is for things that are like indefinite time, like there's no specific time. So for example, I've seen this movie, or I've seen this movie 100 times. You don't know when I saw that movie. I could have saw that movie yesterday. I kinda like saw that movie like 5 years ago, but you would never know because I didn't tell you that. Um, so we can also use this for like recently finished, um, or something that changes like over time. So for example, she has just arrived. Just arrived. It just happened like at that it's something that happened recently. So it was recently finished. The arriving was recently finished. And then you have something like, uh, you have made more progress learning English this week. It's something that changed over time. Hopefully, you're learning and you're making progress. Um, so now maybe you're thinking like, okay, what's the difference between the perfect and the simple tense? What's up with the have? And the perfect, it doesn't matter when we did it. All that matters is that it's done. And then also just like a quick tip about that. So like if the words never or ever are in there, then it's usually gonna be the perfect tense. So yeah. So let's go to the present perfect progressive, also known as the present perfect continuous. So these describe actions that started in the past and they're still continuing right now. So, for example, I have been studying chemistry for 2 years. Started in the past, I've been studying is it has the ing, so that's our continuous tense, right? And then happened in the past is the studying, but it's also happening right now. So I've been studying chemistry and I still am. I haven't stopped studying chemistry, but it started in the past. So we can use that. And then we can also use it for recent actions or a recently completed action. So I've been cooking all day and I just stopped. Or I haven't been going to the gym lately, something like that. Um, you can also use it if you want to help give an explanation to an action. So, for example, his hands are blue because he's been painting all day. Her face is red because she's been crying for the past hour, something like that. And then you can also use it for short and then the temporary situations like asking a question. So, have they been going back to school? Have you been going to work lately? Have you something like that? So, let's go to the past simple. So, usually when we think of past simple, we just want to like put on the ed and like be done, but there's a lot of exceptions for that. So, yeah. So something that happened in the past, or like if you have a list of completed actions, I went to the store, walked the dog, and cooked myself dinner. Those are all a list. And then if you have like a habit or like a repeated action in the past, so like when I was a kid, I used to play soccer every day with my friends, or when I was a kid, I used to do really bad in school, like something that happened in the past that was a habit or something that happened like all the time, I guess. And then the stative verbs, so this is just like to be, to think, to own, stuff like that. So I was a ballet dancer. Um, I wasn't a ballet dancer just for one singular time. It happened over a certain amount of time, but it was in the past and it's done now. So we can use that. Um, we can also use it for single periods of time. So don't worry about that too much. English doesn't really have that distinction like some other languages, I guess. So like I talked on the phone for 10 minutes. That's also the past simple. So past progressive, past continuous. So we can use these for parallel actions. So two actions that are going on at the same time, that's not interrupted. So while I was listening to music, I heard my mom calling me. I was listening to music is one action, and then your mom calling you is the other one. But I didn't have to stop either of those actions for them to happen at the same time. They're both going on at the same time. So if you want to describe an action that happened at a certain time, I was sleeping all day today. Or if you want to like set the scene for a story, like, you know, that opening, like the sun was shining and the birds were singing, like very, yeah. And then we also have repetition. He was always skipping class. So this is kind of like that first one, like my mom is always yelling at me. My mom was always yelling at me. um, it just implies that she doesn't yell at you anymore, but it was something that she did a lot in the past. So yeah. So past perfect. Uh, it's an action finished before another past action or a specific time. So to put it more simply, I guess, if you have multiple actions in the past, you need some kind of order. So if you want to show something in the past that happened like more in the past, then you should use this. So for example, I had left to go to the store when my brother came home. I had left to go is like way in the past, like that happened a while ago. And then my brother came home. That's also in the past, but not as past as when I left. It's more recent. So if I want to order it, I can use the had there. Um, yeah. So that's for like a specific action, but you can also have it for a specific time. So for example, I had never been to Canada before last year. Before last year is like specific time, and the action finished is never being to Canada. um, and then we can also use cause and effect. The house is destroyed because there had been a fire or something like that. And then if you want to emphasize a result from a past action, so like I had already walked around the building twice before I found my friend. It puts like emphasis on how long it took. Like I already walked around, blah blah blah, blah, and it shows that like it. How do I describe that? I think you know what I mean. Like I'm showing that. Hold on. I had already walked around. Like it's already been done. Like it happened, and you're just trying to emphasize that it happened, I guess. That's not a great explanation, but okay. So let's look at had been and was real quick. So had been is like it still applies and it happened over like multiple events. And then was is more like a singular event and it no longer applies. But then you have something like I was a ballet dancer. Obviously, it's not a singular event that happened one time, but it no longer applies. So it's okay. So yeah, just about the had left and the left thing. So we're ordering the events and honestly, the interpretation of the sentences can usually be the same. Like if I say, I left my keys on the table, or I had left my keys on the table. Like, honestly, there's no difference. Like, there's like a small difference in the had. It just shows that like it happened more in the past, but it's still like the same thing. Okay, past perfect progressive and the past perfect continuous. Um, so this is a past action that was already started and it continued until another action or time. So it's kind of like that one that it was started in the past. Like I heard my mom calling me while I was listening to music or something like that. But this time it's being interrupted. So I have to like one of the actions stopped. So I had been looking for my keys all morning until I realized they were in my pocket. Obviously, after I found my keys, I'm not going to keep looking for them. So, yeah. So, the action that was started is looking, had been looking. And then the other action is when I found them, when I realized they were in my pocket. We can also use it for an event that finishes just before another event, like the cake was cooling and it had been baking for an hour or something like that. And we also use it for reported speech. So, like, if you have a person talking and you put it in quotes, so like, quote, he was here for 2 hours, unquote, and then you would write it like, they said the man had been here for 2 hours or something like that. And if you're doing like an English test, I would definitely try and study that reported speech if you're a little bit not confident in that area, I guess, because that one kind of gets people sometimes. Also, the had been kind of stuff. Um, so before I go on, I think you guys can definitely see like a pattern going on. Like, my advice, just learn the present. Present simple, present progressive, perfect, and the perfect progressive. Like, it's the same concept, just applied into different tenses. Like, okay, let's look at this. Like, um, the perfect progressive is just a combination of the perfect and the progressive. So, perfect, right, is indefinite time, and then progressive is like that ing. So you just put it together, and you have that, and then you can just put present or past, and then it's just, I don't know, maybe I'm like making like obviously it's not like a hard connection to make, but I feel like maybe people get caught up in like, oh, I need to know the past simple, past perfect, past whatever. And then it's just the same concept, and you shouldn't really focus on all the individual things because it's just the same concept. So, yeah, just, I don't know, maybe that wasn't helpful, but let's go on to the future simple. So, future simple, future predictions, or a future fact. So, a prediction could be like, I think it's gonna snow on Tuesday. Um, and then like a fact, it's like the water bill will be very high if you keep showering for so long. Like, it's just a fact. Like, we can also use it for a promise or a request. So, like, um, I'll help you with your homework once I'm done cooking. Like, I didn't say, like, I promise or something like that, but I will. Like, I'll do this, or it's saying that you're gonna do it. So, yeah. And then, of course, our conditionals. I don't know if I have a video for the conditionals, but I should do that. I do have a doc for that though. But so for the conditional, if it is sunny, we will go to the beach. So if this one thing happens, then we can do this other thing. So future progressive is again for the uninterrupted action in the future. So when you are doing your homework, they'll be outside playing. You're not going to be playing outside with them. You're going to be doing your homework. And they're going to be playing. And yeah, you doing your homework just doesn't matter. They're going to keep playing anyway. So, yeah, uninterrupted action. And then if we want to have an action in progress at a specific time, so like at 2 p.m. tomorrow, we will be going to the museum. The specific time is 2 p.m. And then we will be going to is just like we will go. Going to is, yeah, they're like same, like going to and will are the same thing basically. So, but we know that this is the future because we already said will, but if we didn't, we already put the time 2 p.m. tomorrow. We know 2 p.m. tomorrow isn't right now. So it's not like a present thing. You know that it's happening in the future. And then an action that is happening now and that's going to continue happening in the future. So plastic will still be degrading over the next 100 years. So plastic is degrading right now, and in 100 years it's still going to be degrading because plastic isn't very biodegradable. So we can also use it to ask a question. I guess it's polite. So like, will you be going to the party tonight? Or like, will you be coming tomorrow? Something like that. We can also use it to emphasize future plans, like they will be coming to the school next month. So like, they're not coming tomorrow, but they'll be coming next week. Something like that. Show your emphasis on when they're coming. And then we also have like the future atmosphere, kind of like setting the scene again. Like when we win, everyone will be cheering our names. Like it's setting the scene for that future like mm, atmosphere. I don't know. And then future perfect. So again, we can use those stative verbs, that to be, to need to, stuff like that. And then of course the going to and the will interchangeable. So an action that will finish before time in the future or before an event takes place. So by 7 a.m. tomorrow, I will have already left for school. So the time in the future is 7 a.m. tomorrow, and then the event that is finishing before 7 a.m. happens is me leaving for school. And then we can also use it to express certainty of something that happened in the near past. So like, she will have arrived at the dentist by now. But if I'm being honest, no one's gonna say that. We use would. So like, she would have arrived by now. She should have arrived by now. Those are just very conditional type sentences. So you won't really hear like, she will have arrived by now. That's very strange. Like even in this like Google thing, like I will be eating, like it's kind of strange. I'm gonna be honest. You can kind of just throw this whole like future tense part away. Like, you'll need the simple and the perfect, but that's about it, I guess. So just to like future perfect progressive, the continuous one. So we use it for a certain event in the future. So like I will have been living in America for 18 years by the time it's my birthday. Or if we want to show something that finishes before another time or another action, like I will be hungry when I get home. Like it's no one really uses these like I will have been eating like I'm gonna be honest, no one says this. Like maybe you'd say like I will eat. We just use simple like or I'm gonna eat or I I will have been eating. No, you can just say I have been eating. Like the only this is gonna sound really strange, but like the future perfect progressive is like kind of like past you looking in the future like I will have been living here but it didn't happen yet. This is like I can't explain that right now. um yeah, it's not that important, I guess. So yeah, don't worry about that future stuff. But do try and learn those have been, had been, learn the differences between those. And I think that's pretty important. I mean, normal speech, it's not a huge deal, but if you're doing like an English test and they ask you, okay, what's the past progressive form? You're gonna be like, oh no. And then, yeah, I don't know, I always thought that part was kind of dumb because like your sentence totally makes sense. I understand it and it totally applies, but because you used like the had, now it's wrong. So like yeah, just try and focus on that kind of stuff and then yeah. All right. Thanks for listening. Hopefully this helped. Sorry my explanations aren't that good and I might have made a mistake or something, but yeah. All right. Thanks. Bye bye.